Hello, everybody. We're back with another knee-jerk reaction review. And instead of doing episode by episode, we decided to review True Story as a whole. Now, I finished this like a week ago. Rodney just binged everything, so I'm pretty sure he'll be able to pull it all together. For instance, he was talking about a certain episode. Spoiler alert, by the way. Earlier in the chat, he's like, dude, when kids find that one thing, I don't know if it's like auto-corrected. He's like, when the kids find, like episode 7, I was like, what? And he's like, when the kids find that one thing. And I immediately was like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
I had to go to you personally.
Yeah, and then he like messaged me and like, you know, just between us rather the group, and it was like, oh, dude, you're talking about because Kevin Hart's name in the show is Kid. I thought he was talking about. I was like, what kids are we talking about? So that even left me. But it's odd, dude. As engaged as I was in this, I feel like a lot of things kind of like have already kind of went in and out of my brain. But I think I just watch and review too much shit. It makes it hard if you don't do it for a week. But I think I'll be able to talk about it. You got anything to say about this show? I'll definitely piggyback off you.
So, True Story. First of all, Kevin Hart, Wesley Snipes. Okay, they're playing brothers, and Kevin Hart is the comedian. So It's very rare to see him in something drama like this. And I know you're going to show him praise. Kevin Hart in this is very, after about 3 episodes, you forget he's a comedian. 100%. Like you do, like you see Kevin Hart, the dramatic actor, and
That's what I've been saying about Kevin Hart.
I loved it, but it's engaging. This show is engaging, but it does also have a pacing problem. I will say the pacing, some of the pacing in this, I did not like. But
I didn't feel any of that. That's actually like one of my strongest points. Is
really?
The pacing is amazing.
Well, there was just a few things that happened too quickly, and a few things that maybe didn't happen in enough time.
I could see that.
Yeah,
I'm not talking about the overall. Like,
no, the overall,
but the overall, like how engaged you are, like keeps you involved. Is like as good as I've seen type of shit. Like every scene, you are locked the fuck in. So
that first episode, the first episode where Wesley Snipes' character Carlton and Kevin Hart's character Kid, they have like almost like a get together again. They haven't seen each other in a while, and this girl Carlton gets to get drunk, and this girl ODs in his bed, and this is where the story arc kicks in. Is they have to basically chop up this bitch's body and rid of the body so that because she's dead in Kevin Hart's bed, and he's a stand-up comedian in the show, so
are you like, I want to watch
he's
this
got
now?
Millions.
I thought he was like, actually I'm out because I want to watch this. All of a sudden, chop up bitch in the bed, I'm in.
But so then they bring this character Ari into play, who is, and by the way, I love how they made him Greek. The villains in this, the 3 Greek brothers, which, by the way, I do have notes actually on this. The 2 brothers in this are my favorite characters.
You're not supposed to have notes? Yeah.
Well, yeah, but it's a series, so I figured.
No, still it's okay though. I cheat once in Blue Moon too.
But the two brothers were my favorite characters.
So time out real fast though. So the one time you have notes is the time you're not supposed to have notes?
That's what it seems like.
God, you're the opposite of everything we try to tell you to do. Okay.
But, I love the 2 brothers in it, but this show, like, carries a weight to it where everything that happens with Kevin Hart's character, you feel the weight of what he's kind of carrying on his shoulders.
Oh,
like
100%.
He's doing all this traveling and shit. He's back in his hometown, but then his brother gets in the mix. He owes a lot of people money.
Yes, and something that helps that is it feels like his real life. It's almost
like
he's playing
you're watching
himself.
Yes,
so you're like, Jesus, Kevin, get out. Oh yeah, kid, that's right. But I have a love-hate relationship with that. I'll talk about later.
Oh, okay. That's weird.
Once I talk about it, it's obvious. Actually.
But yeah, I want to give a shout out real quick to Wesley Snipes.
Oh yeah, I got another shout out to give. But Wesley Snipes, I'm hyped for this. After all the shit he went through with the tax shit,
dude,
IRS, all that shit.
I cannot believe how good his performance was in this show.
Dude, he's always been a really good actor.
He has
He's got pigeonholed in like these martial arts roles.
Yeah.
He's good. Dude, all these martial artists are low key like good when they given dramatic roles, dude. It's fucked up.
Well, Wesley, this is the best I think I've ever seen him was in this show, and the way he carried his character was so shady, but at the same time,
There's
you're like,
so much deceit and betrayal in the show. That's so good. And I knew you'd love that because you're a deceitful bastard yourself. I was like, Rodney's gonna love all this shit because he's like, I would have done that.
Dude, I will go on and say the come together and the ending was perfect. It was just the way they stuck the landing in this show. But yeah, so you get through, the episodes, and Kevin Hart's character kills Ari, and
dude, and let's give a big shout out here. I love that it was Billy Zane.
And he killed it.
And I was upset at the end of the first episode. I'm like, Billy Zane's already gone. Like, I kind of wanted him to be the bad guy, dude. But that's the thing about Billy Zane in this, like, just his mannerisms, his everything. I don't know if you've seen Billy Zane as a bad guy in certain stuff. Like, have you ever seen Demon Knight from Tales from the Crypt? It's one of my favorite villain performances ever. He's so animated.
Really?
Yeah, because he's this monster that's disguised as a human being, and he's telling these cops just like, yeah, we got to go in here. Like, I got to retrieve what's stolen from me. And you're thinking he's the good guy. And out of nowhere, he's like, all right, this ain't going to work. And he literally turns around and punches his fist out through the dude's fucking mouth and out the back of his head. And then eventually he yanks it off. The other cop's like, fuck, shooting at him. He's like, really, bro? And then he fucks him up. And then after that, he ends up outside with all his minions because they lay down the thing he's trying to get, has like a potion. And they lay it through the doors so they can't come in. And Billy Zane's just outside like, fuck. He's like, just give me the fucking thing. And the whole time, like, he like tries to like swindle people. He's talking to like other girls, just like, you could be the best, Moretta. Like, and he just he's just an amazing villain in that movie. He's animated, downright wicked. It's one of my favorite villain performances ever. You've got to see Demon Knight if you haven't seen it.
I'll have to check that out.
And when you watch him in this, the little things he does works like so well, dude. I love when he's like talking to him when after, Wesley Snipes calls him in and he's talking to Kevin Hart, and Kevin Hart is talking to him back, obviously, and he's saying, basically, he's like right before he talks to him about the price, he's like, matter of fact, he's like eating something, he's like, you do a show for me for free? Like little weird tidbits like that work, the way he words, and he's like, okay. All right.
Like he's trying to piss him off.
Yeah, like he's just working on him, and he's just like, so how much does pay? Like $50,000 or something? He's like, try $500,000 or something like that.
It was $600,000,
and he's like for
a month for a year
or something like that. And he's just like, how much is that? And he's like,
$6 billion.
Yeah, $6 billion, whatever.
$6 million. Yeah.
He's like, how much is that though to you? The great kid and all that shit. I was so into his performance. I was like, Billy Zane, dude. I haven't seen him in enough things anymore. So I was a little hurt when he died, which of course Kevin Hart shocked me in that scene. I did not see that coming at all. He just comes up behind him,
blindsided.
And Carlton, that's his name, right? Wesley Snipes, when he walks in the next day, and he's just like, "What the fuck happened?" He's like, I didn't want to pay $6 billion or whatever it is. He's like, "Okay, I understand." But even like Kevin Hart stepping aside after he killed him, he's like doing FaceTime with his kid, and he's like, things just ain't going too well for me right now. And he's like even looking over like the dead bodies right there. It was like, damn, this show's gonna take it there with some shit. Like, this is actually surprising because I was worried about this show. I was like, watch it be like corny, dramatic, and it not be like really PG-13. It's not that way at all. It's like really dark and really, really fucked up overall.
And then you get to meet the character Gene. I loved Gene.
Theo Rossi murdered
Gene
this role.
Was the perfect.
He might have been my favorite character.
He's the perfect character, is what I said. Like,
and
Gene.
Do you like Sons of Anarchy?
Yeah,
him
I
as
like
Juice.
I don't remember.
Yeah, he's Juice. He had the.
He is. He
was great as Juice in Sons of Anarchy and everything else I've seen him in. He was in Army of the Dead recently. He was like the first one to go, and it was like everything I've seen him in since. I was like, he'll just always be Juice to me. I just don't really see him being able to do anything. And he comes in with this role.
Yes.
And it's nothing like Juice. It's nothing like anything I personally have ever seen him play.
He's the perfect Stan.
And you feel so bad for this guy. Like
when Kevin Hart goes off on him,
every step of the way, I'm like, this poor fucking guy.
But
like,
dude,
I loved him, dude. Like, I wanted to give him a hug. Like, every step of the way, it's like, dude, it's okay.
Yeah.
He was the ultimate fan.
There was a couple moments where I was like, maybe he's like, you know, a bad, you know, stand.
We'll
maybe
get to that, and that's what made it even more heartbreaking.
Yeah, no shit, dude.
Because he basically, I think, going to like the third episode or whatever it was the start in the third episode or in the second episode. Kevin Hart and them, they dump the body, and this is after, you know, he went off on Gene. He's like, just not now, Gene, because he's got a lot of shit going on, and Gene's just like, oh, okay. Like,
while filming it on Instagram Live, so everybody's seen this.
Yeah, it's not good. And then he thinks, you know, I'll see Gene another time, whatever. And then I know where right before he's going to go on stage. There's no way I go on stage after that. And they're like, all right, man, we got 20 seconds. And Gene's just like, hang on, dude, just real quick. And he's like, Gene, I told you I don't have time for this right now. And maybe even Kevin or Kid in the show was like, oh, maybe I should give him a second. Like, just a quick second. I'm sorry for what I did earlier. The motherfuckers can wait one more second. And he's like, hey, Kid, like, after, you know, we had our argument, I followed you. And he's like, hold on, what the fuck did you say, Gene? And he's just like, I followed you because I felt so bad about, like, our blow-up.
Yes.
And he's like, what is with this body? Like, what did you do with it?
Well, he showed him the basketball video, is what it was.
Yeah, and he's sitting there, he's like, what all did you see? And he's like, I saw you dump
He's
your
like,
body.
I saw everything.
Like,
he's
everything.
like, but what hurt me the most for Gene, and it almost, I'm not going to lie, it almost made me tear up. But Gene, he was asking him, like, why the fuck were you doing this, yada, yada. And he's like, all I wanted to do was apologize to you for making you upset. And I was like, oh, my God.
Do not get him caught up in this.
You poor fucking soul, dude.
Yeah. And then, like, as he's saying that, you know, a guy's behind him, like, 10 seconds, Kid. And Kid walks out there, and you hear the fucking echoes of the crowd with Gene behind him, like, giving him a thumbs up or whatever, waving. And as that's echoing, it slowly, like, fades into, like, you know, that, like, muffled sound. Like, he's just in his head, like, what do I fucking do, dude? Like, I can't go out here right now. What in the fuck? Like, I'm fucked right now. I've got to talk to Gene. And then, of course, they do talk to Gene.
The more I think about it, the more all the characters were very well written in this show. Because I love Hirsch. Hirsch is awesome, the bodyguard. And I love Todd. Todd, and then they gave Todd a little bit of a backstory, which I really appreciate them giving him with the whole eating disorder thing.
Yeah.
He used to be a fat kid, and he's like, well, I only told Kid that in confidence, you know. It's like they gave him a tiny backstory, but just enough to where you're like, okay, I can see how he can be emotionally unstable, you know. But yeah, dude. But throughout the the next few episodes, it's just them trying to figure everything out. Kid thinks he's in the clear, but then the evidence of the body happens. But it's not Kid who I focus on throughout the rest of the series. It's Carlton.
Oh yeah,
Carlton is my main focus.
Motives he has, dude.
And then I love how they made him beat the shit out of Kid. When they got into that fight and Hirsch sat out there and he was watching them, I love
reaction. Even like,
the perfect reaction. He's like, all right, brotherly love, they're fighting. But I love how they made Wesley Snipes the alpha.
I swear to God, I said that same thing. Like when I was like, if they fucking, Kevin Hart's got a big head, he's gonna beat up Wesley Snipes. Like, that's not fucking happening, bro.
And he manhandled him, dude.
Yeah, he kept trying to charge him. He's like, motherfucker.
Yeah, he's like, don't make me do this. He's like, what are you gonna do if I don't? He's like, I whoop that ass. And I was like, oh my God. Dude. In that immediate moment, I was like, okay.
You're like, that's fucking Blade, bro. You're going down. That's Mr. Art of War right there, dude. That is motherfucking a passenger 57, dude. Your ass is getting whooped right here. What are you going to do, Kevin Hart?
But yeah, I'm just watching his every move. And then the relationship also, which they did extremely well with, was the relationship between Todd and Carlton. Now, Hirsch and Carlton had a little bit of a back and forth, but it wasn't
that was interesting.
Too much. But Todd hated him, but there was nothing he can do because it's Kevin Hart's brother. But the chemistry was just all there, all the way up to the end. But, getting to the later episodes, man, the last episode hit me.
Let's talk about real quick about more with the Gene shit. Like when they met up with Gene.
Oh, that's right.
That scene was fucking intense because, like, he's like, Carlton's like, you know what you need to do, right, kid? And you're wondering, like, oh shit, like
Yeah.
is kid gonna be able to do this?
Oh, you're talking about in the lot when they're out in the park,
and
dude. That's so
Carlton-
intense.
And Carlton's even sitting there. I'm like, is he gonna pull out a gun? And
Dude,
just gun
I didn't
him
know.
down?
I didn't know if he was
so
gonna kill him.
you
Like
were
just
tripping.
be like, "Fuck
Like,
this,"
he's
and
gonna
then
be
shoot him.
Like you need to do what you need to do. And he's like, man, just let me handle this.
Yeah.
And fucking the whole time he's holding the gun behind his
But
back.
I never once believed Kevin would do it. It was
No.
Carlton who I was like, "This is the wild card.
Yeah.
He's gonna shoot
Because
this
when
man."
I was watching Kevin, dude, I was like, he's basically almost like himself, just put in a horrible situation, and maybe he's just, you know, like he had to go that route. He had no fucking choice, like crazy greed and shit like that, which is a problem I have actually with this as it goes on.
Really?
Yes. That goes kind of ties into my like love hate of it feeling like it's actually him portion. Now you maybe see what I'm getting at, but we'll get to that. I also, quick tidbit, I love the idea that Kevin Hart had when he walked up on those fans when they did play basketball, and he's like,
Yes.
what do you mean? He's like, the fucking alibi.
Alibi.
We were playing ball, right? Like, of course. Like they weren't.
It was
the exact
genius.
time. That was like shit.
Yeah.
Great idea.
I will say I hated that cop scene. I thought that when they pulled him out of the car and everything, I wasn't a big fan of that.
He was fucking with him.
But the right after that meeting, kids just like, fuck it, I'm gonna do this the right way, which was genius, brilliant.
He hit him with the
live, yes, making him my friend, got him in the circle.
And Carlton, you can see he's almost like rolling his eyes.
Yes, dude, pissed.
Like, this gonna work, motherfucker.
But
and then when you first meet with those brothers, dude, when Carlton meets with them, I'm like, these motherfuckers are for real. And the intensity, even the music and different shit. He's like, have you heard from him? He's like, you know your brother. And like you can see Carlton dreading it going in, and then when he gets out, he's like, all right. And kids even telling him like, hey, you figured this out, you won't be involved anymore. But of course, this is a web that's gonna keep on spinning. He gets pulled back in.
I didn't
every step of the way.
The brothers at first worried me because I thought there was going to be the typical one badass brother and then the one, hold off brother. Well, here's the thing that I love about them. Mommy.
Yeah.
They are mama's boys. And because every time they speak in their foreign language, their native language, it's when mom is involved. And mom runs the house is what it seems,
And I love that.
But then the violent tendencies of the, I would assume, younger brother, as opposed to the one who seems like he has brains, smarts, but very naive to Carlton.
Yeah.
Very naive. If it weren't for him, Carlton would have been dead.
Like he's not necessarily not believing him, but he's got his antennas up. Like we're not letting him go. We're gonna follow him every step of the way. Make sure he's not fucking up. Like he even is asking him questions, like put him on his toes here and there.
That's another thing I loved a lot about Carlton's character is he would always be hesitant, but at the end of the moment, he would open the door or he would show up at the club. He would face them every single time. He would be scared, but he would still face him.
Yes. I don't want to do this, but I got.
But he still did it, and I had so much respect for that as Carlton's character because you're like, okay, so this dude's a G, but he's also like, just laid back kind of. But
and honestly, the shit with Gene interests me the most. Like I can't stop harping on that. It's like, fuck, is Gene gonna take this to cops? And you thought it's like, okay, he's gonna do this type of shit. But then when Kevin Hart met with him again in like the hotel,
the motel room.
Oh my god, dude! I'm sitting there like, is he gonna kill him? Don't kill him, please don't. Kill
I didn't think Kevin was. I thought I thought Gene was gonna pull some slick shit. Yeah. But then, dude,
at that point, I kind of was like, dude, Gene might just legitimately be Gene.
He is.
And when he laid out that story about like his sister that died and all that, and he's like, and ever since I've been a big fan, I was like, even more so. I was like, God, I love this guy. Sounds fucked up. Like I'm not homo in any regard, but I was like, I just want to cuddle this guy.
You just want to be there for him,
corral him, and just let him know it's okay. There's other comedians.
But he deleted that video, and you felt for that too. And you're like, man, he genuinely
I need you to delete this video.
Yeah, but then I love what Kevin Hart says after that when he leaves. He leaves, and Kevin Hart talks to Hirsch about how Gene opened up that door again to why he does what he does. And he felt appreciated by Gene. I thought that was good writing, in that moment.
Yeah, there was some solid writing in here.
Yes, there was.
We're looking at the tomato score right now.
It's unbelievable.
That's the most.
And as an audience, we're only giving it 79.
I don't see it. This is like everything's covered perfectly. How intense it is, the acting, surprising acting, which gives me personally a nudge up
Yeah.
When you get like, wow, like you don't need no fucking A-listers for this. They knocked out of the park like they were A-listers. And just everything about it, the writing, the characters, even the cinematography was solid too. And the story,
I love the opening title in every episode too.
The story isn't even necessarily great, but everything they do with it, like with the writing and the acting, it elevates it. It makes it above your average movie show that would be like this. I was really surprised the overall tone and feel they went with here in general. And then Gene, again, man, coming back to him. The Carlton making the move, dude.
Okay, so...
to bring the heat off of him.
When Carlton... Me and Jamie were watching this. She didn't watch it from episodes like 2 to 4 because the anxiety wouldn't let her.
I was devastated.
And, dude, when Carlton walked into the hotel room, I shouted. I was like, no! And Jamie's like, what? And I was like, and I kept explaining the show. She wouldn't watch it, but I would explain. So she was kept up. Dude. And I was like, yo, I said, as soon as Carlton walked in, I said, Carlton's about to set him up. And she goes, what? And I was like, he's about to set up Gene. And dude, he fucking set him up like that. I was like, oh my God. Dude, and then Gene pulled the most boss move ever.
Oh my God.
The most boss move.
He still stood his ground. Like nothing, like the ultimate fan. In the fucking
it's
world.
Like he knew too. Whenever he was getting beat up, he was like, "Oh, this has to do with Carlton."
Yeah, and then he started shouting, like I did it.
He's like, "You're fat, lazy brother." He's like, he begged for mercy.
Oh my God!
And
I don't even like you talking.
I know.
I
was like, "Stop, Gene, stop."
This is one of my most like honestly, Theo Rossi might have gave one of my most ever broken heart for a character performances that I've seen. And I think being that it's a show, it made it more impactful because it was more drug out. You got to feel every little moment rather than an hour and 30-minute movie. But honestly, I was more heartbroken for his character than I have been for anybody, at least in a long while. Maybe there's a couple you'd be like, okay, maybe close, but I was so torn.
Yeah.
Every step of the way, I was like, oh, from the moment he just talked, I was like, oh, this is just such a nice dude. There's no intentions. And then when I was like, is there going to be intentions? And then he came around and there was no intentions. I was like, I'm so sad that I even felt that way about Eugene. I know the fucking guy. And just watching his overall humbleness and niceness. And then in the final scene, I'm like, no, don't do this to Gene. I already felt horrible then. And then I'm like, and he's fucking, you're doing this for these bastards?
Yeah. And he got killed the most brutal way, too.
I was so fucking heartbroken. Theo Rossi, after this performance, I want to see him in more shit, times 10. He was actually... As far as acting goes, honestly, Theo actually stole the show for me the most. The other, Kevin Hart murdered it. Fucking Wesley Snipes murdered it. But Theo Rossi murdered it. And that's another level of impact that's going to stick with me beyond the show, dude, for years to come. I'm always going to think back on that the most, I think, actually, is just God, how fucking emotional was his character.
Well, yeah, and it ain't even over yet. And we got the last episode, which was fucking crazy.
And was that in the last episode? Are you just trying to fuck us up, Tyler? Just get all angry. We're doing a video here just because you're not on fucking camera. Lose my mind. We got to kill him. We got to do what we got to do. The true story.
Get rid of the body.
Yeah, we're going to delete this video. Gene, delete it. You see him pop in Theo Rossi here. That would have been a great cameo. Holy shit, they have Theo Rossi on set. Is this a set? I don't know. But was it it wasn't in the last episode, right? When they also, I loved how they fucking tortured and killed that guy in front of Carlton.
Oh, yeah. No, that was the last episode.
Okay. I was thinking it was the last, or was it second
it was
to
the last?
Okay, well, we can save that. You can even touch on it if you want.
Yeah.
We can dive into the... Oh, let me just... Okay. Well, this is kind of where my problem's going to. The last couple episodes, in comparison to everything else, kind of actually fell off the rails for me. Nothing really fell off in terms of, it's really good what they're doing. Everything still is perfect. But my believability of the kid character started to waver, because in the beginning I felt okay, I'm watching Kevin Hart, I'm yeah, it's kind of believable, but dude, you put money involved, you never know just how willing the kid character is ready to go, because erase the kid name. I'm watching this like it's Kevin Hart. I'm like, let's watch an alternate reality where Kevin Hart's got to do what he's got to do. But there was certain reactions he had, even like Carlton, and he's just like, yeah, off Gene, and he's just like, man, yeah, do what you got to do. Like, I get it, I understand, and shit like that. Like, it started stretching my believability. Like, I would have loved it way more if Carlton was just the Boss Moves guy, and fucking Kid, you know, he had his couple moments where it's like, fuck, dude, you had to, Kid. Like, I don't know. But the fact that, like, he started to show, like, absolutely no remorse, like he was this stone cold killer, it lost me a bit. I didn't like that at all. I loved it when he was pushed to the brink and he had to make a move, but when he just flat out had to be like...
Are you talking about the very end of the last episode?
That too, but also there was other things along the way. Like when he was talking to Gene in the parking lot, he was like holding the gun. He's like, oh, I don't want to do this. And he kind of backed out. And even you were like, I was all on Carlton. I knew Kid wouldn't do this.
Right.
But by the end of it, it was kind of like, I knew you had to off Gene. And like, I knew this had to happen. I'm willing to do it. It started going from like...
Oh, I know what you're talking about now.
It went from like... had to do what I had to do. I didn't want to do it. Had to do what I had to do. So by the end of it was just like, I'm gonna fucking murder everybody. Bang, bang, bang. You had to do that. That's okay. I don't care.
I feel like it's the overwhelmingness though that got him to that point. His character to that point.
Well, see, for me, when I'm watching this, I'm like, this ain't even Kid. This is Kevin Hart. The overwhelmingness came in the first part, but then the other part at a certain point, it's just like, bro, this is just you. And at a certain point, I'm cool if you go through with this whole thing in the end. That's what you're doing. You might have regret about it later. Like, it hurts you. But watching Kevin Hart get to the point where he doesn't even have like, oh, you killed Gene? No, man. Like, I mean, I get it. But instead he's like, hey, man, you did it. I get it. That's great. You know, he started doing that. The believability started to really hurt the show for me by the last 2 episodes, or maybe 3. Like, there was an element of that in 3, and I was just like, I'm just not buying. Like, as good as I'm not. It's not because of Kevin Hart's acting, but because it was so close to home, it helped the show because it was like, fuck, it's like we're watching Kevin Hart right now. But also because it's so close to home, it also hurt the show. Because I'm watching, at least on my end, I'm watching it like this is Kevin Hart, and I'm like, oh shit, you had to do that. Damn, dude, I know you didn't want to do that, but you had to. Oh, you got to go kill G in the parking lot. Oh, you found a way out of it. Hell yeah. Like, that's the way I'm going along this route, Kevin Hart. And then, like, the second half of the show, I'm watching it, and I'm like, really, Kevin Hart? I didn't think this is what your character was. Like, you're doing this? Like, oh, Kevin, like, really? Like, I don't believe necessarily this character would have went quite through with that. Or, like, I don't really believe you would have that reaction. Would you? Like, oh, and now you're doing this, which we'll talk about in the end. Like, I don't buy that. Like, I didn't buy everything anymore. I think it would have worked way better as Carlton is like the wild card on the end, and it would have been a better balance too. If Carlton was a wild card, he was a cool dude, but at the end of the day, he was going to fucking do what he had to do. Kevin Hart was the guy that's going to do what he has to do. By the end of the day, there's at least some fucking morality there where he's like, all right, I can't do this. Or at least like, all right, man, I can't. I get why you did it, but damn, dude, you had to do that? At least give me something to that nature. It just didn't feel authentic to me by the end of it for that reason. I don't know if you see what I'm saying.
No, I get it, because it
hurt the show a lot.
The only problem I really had with the final episode was Kevin doing what he did at the very end.
All right, we'll jump into the final episode. If you want
going through the final episode, the beginning, right off rip, she was alive the whole time. It was faked. So she never OD'd in that bed.
I could see that coming, but at the same time, I didn't.
I didn't at all. Reason. I didn't, and I loved it. I feel
like it was one of those things. Like when I watched it, I was like, I feel like that's almost predictable, but I somehow I fucked it up.
They make you forget about her throughout the show. They make you forget about her, and the focus is on Ari.
Intense.
But so I found that out like a smack in the face, and I loved it. And
it was great.
But what you're talking about with the character, it seems like Kevin Hart's character changed a lot within this episode, because at this point he decided he was going to cut Carlton out completely. Like he was done with him. Yeah, and he wasn't really scared of the Greek brothers anymore. You know, his demeanor kind of changed. But yeah, I mean, some shit happens. I love the swing on Hirsch, and Hirsch says you only get one. And you know, they got pretty intense with each other for a little bit. But
and I love that. Don't back down. Hell yeah.
But the Greek brothers, meet up with them at the Sixers game, which is where Kevin Hart tells, he finds out that Carlton set the whole thing up. Carlton set up just to get some extra money with that bitch. So she played dead, and with her playing dead, Ari is supposed to, be in the mix to help clean up the body, but get her out, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So, which means Kevin Hart killed Ari for no fucking reason. The whole time. Kevin Hart killed him for no fucking reason other than dude was running his mouth. Like, that's it. And so the Greek brothers show up to the Sixers game, and they all run away and shit. And, they get cornered, and Kevin Hart ends up killing the two Greek brothers with, might I say, perfect headshots out of nowhere.
That's again.
I hated that.
That ruined it. That was another part of it. I'm like, oh, and he's just a perfect shot.
Yeah, dude, like with ease.
Let's be honest. Even if you're from the hood,
no,
you're not a perfect marksman. Most people from the hood is like pat, pat, pat.
And it's like his demeanor after that was like, yeah, I did that. I've known how to do it the whole time.
Yeah.
And then flip switch, he fucking kills Carlton.
Yeah,
and I'm
Carlton's
like, what?
Hey, I gotta do this. Yeah. Now I can understand maybe if if there was something that pushed him to that point and he did it again, like you got to do what you got to do, and he realizes the horrible things Carlton did on him. Where maybe like I would have been more on board if like they got caught in a room together and he's like got tears in his eyes and he's talking to Carlton and Carlton's like, "What, man? What are we talking about here?" And he's like, "I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out something here." And Carlton's like, "What are you trying to figure out?" He's just like, "There's just something that's really been bothering me lately."
Mm-hmm.
And he has that conversation like he had at the Philadelphia Sixers game, except in a room.
I thought he was going to do something there.
Yeah, and he's like in a room or something, like they're secluded, and he's in a room and he's like, "I don't necessarily want to go through with this, but I got to." And like maybe even Carlton calls him on shit, like, "I know you ain't talking about killing me." Like maybe he's just like, "I figured out the whole thing too, don't you?" Or like maybe something gets by. He's like, "I know, Carlton," and he has an emotional moment, like tears in his eyes, and Carlton's like, "Come on, give me that gun, man." And then at the end of it, he shoots, and then he actually does hold him like he did, where he's faking it, and he's crying because he knew what he had to do, and it's an impactful, sad ending, and you're like, God, dude, like, I mean, but at the end of the day, like, I buy it, like, man, like, he had to do this shit.
See,
what could he have done?
When they were in the box seats, I thought Carlton was about to fuck him up, because when he told Carlton that he knew, yet again, great writing. I love this with Wesley Snipes takes his glasses off and he's just looking straight ahead like, okay, like anything can happen at this point. Like, I'm ready for it though. Like him taking those glasses off, such a little thing, like his character just, even more skyrocketed for me. But Kevin kills him, shoots him, and then after that, his character is completely different than the way it started, like you were saying, because I agree wholeheartedly on that. He's on the show. He's playing it cool, like I had nothing to do with it, yada yada. And I'm like, but that's not.
We didn't even talk about the brother offing the girl.
Oh the crazy Greek brother.
He fucking lit her up.
They beat the shit out of her.
Loud, and he just goes wop 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 with the bullets. Like, well, now she's dead.
Yeah, he did damage.
For sure. Yeah, that was a good scene because he was relentless. He wouldn't fucking hold back. But at the end of the day, that's where I get ruined. Where I say I have a love-hate relationship with him being a stand-up comedian in this. Because the love portion, it feels like you're following Kevin Hart, so it makes it more emotional, and you're like, damn, this is almost like Kevin Hart in real life. But it also hurts because if he was just playing a completely different character and he got thrown into this, I could believe the other stuff. But at some point, I feel like I'm watching Kevin Hart because he's playing his profession. He's playing his own life. He's from Philadelphia. He goes to the Sixers games. It feels like Kevin Hart to the fucking nth degree. And when I see him get forced into shit where he's got to make a move, it's, oh, wow, okay, damn, dude, you had to, and I feel bad for him. But when I see him just turn into this calculated, cold-blooded killer, like he's like an assassin if he needs to be, it stretched the believability and really hurt the show for me at the end. It did.
Well, as a whole, what would you grade this?
What would I grade this? Let me tell you this. Through like the first 5 episodes, 4.5, whatever, I was like, is this one of my favorite shows of all time? I legit was like...
One season?
I was like, no, like legit. Like, of course, I'm like, I haven't seen the rest of the seasons yet. If they do that, You know, and I'm assuming it's a one-off. So at that point, I don't even got to take them into consideration. You know, like, how are they bringing this back? I don't see how they could do that. So I'm like, just one-off, one season. Like, this is one of the best ever that has
might be like an anthology deal that they do.
And best show in general, because I'm like, every moment I'm hooked around every second. Amazing, like, pacing for where it keeps you fucking locked in, and you're like, wow, what's the deceit next? What's gonna happen here? What's gonna happen here? I was like, this has the potential. If they nail the layout, this could be like one of my favorite shows of all time. Like, show wise, this is like a 9, maybe this could be like 9.5 out of 10 type shit. Maybe 10 out of 10. Like, show wise, this is fucking blowing my mind right now. But after all that other shit, it bumped it down a lot. But you heard how much I was praising it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, oh, the show fell off. This is still like 8.5 out of 10 to me. I'll meet somewhere, I'll say 8.3 out of 10. It's still amazing. I want to watch it again with like Aide. I'm like, this show will get you. Like, it's intense as fuck. I want to watch it again by myself. But they ruined what like was a great show, all-time great show, one of the best shows I've ever seen, because of what they did with Kevin Hart. And it's I'm telling you, that's what it is. It's his occupation. But it helped him in the beginning because it locked us in and made it feel more real. Because you're like, this is like watching an actual Kevin Hart. He's just got a different name. But it also came back to hurt it because of the decisions they made and made him this fucking marksman if he had to be, cold-blooded, could do anything at any moment. I wanted to watch Kevin Hart as this guy that's got thrown into the situation and he did what he had to do. I didn't want to watch him thrown in the situation, do what he had to do. It's like, oh, but this will get him. He's actually just a full-on badass if he needs to be. I didn't need that. It threw it off for me. And literally, it deducted a whole point. But luckily, this is one of the best things I've ever seen TV-wise. So it's still high as shit. It's an 8.3 out of 10 to me. This was an amazing show. My mind is blown by it. But I'm looking at that nagging thing where I'm just like, the last 2 episodes, as good as it was, I was like, I kept looking at Kevin Hart. I'm like, I don't believe you anymore. Fuck, it's taking me out of it. And then by like the last scene when they did that, I'm like, I just don't buy that you would do this. I don't see it. And like, what perfect headshots. I'm like, really? Like, no. Like, I had those moments going on with it, and it really lowered it. But yet and still, this was fucking great. Still great.
I think pacing issues that I had were, of course, Ari. I think that first of all, I think this could have gone a little bit. I would say 8 or 9 episodes would have been better.
Or you could have maybe had 7 episodes, but
longer.
have a
longer
couple
episode.
Okay,
so 7 but hour-long episodes.
Yeah, or instead of 36, add in 2 episodes or 3 episodes that are 45, and then you have a whole another episode worth. You know what I mean?
Well, I say the Billy Zane.
Would that kill the pacing? Because I know I get what you're saying about the pacing. Like, some shit happened too fast, some shit happened too slow. But the pacing, as far as, wow, this has got me like boom, boom, boom. Like,
as far as like story pacing, it was phenomenal. The pacing was great with story. Yes, it's just certain characters that, all right, for one, they made you seem like what's her name, Billy. They dug into Billy, cool. But then nothing. Like, it's like she didn't exist in most areas. Ari's character could have made at least another half episode.
Which, if you think about it, he basically did get 2 episodes. It's the length of 2 episodes, but he came in late.
Right. Yeah. So he really only had like 10 minutes max of screen time.
That's the thing that also helped me out with that, because I was like, at first, like, no, he's gonna kill him. I'm like, what the fuck? But I'm also like, no, don't kill him. But also another tidbit, I'm like, that's kind of cool how they went there and just killed off Billy Zane, because I expected him to be there after the first episode. So it did have that impact.
I think there was a little bit of pacing issues with Gene whenever you find out the video situation. You can kind of see them slowly trying to push the character away, in a way that's like, okay, so something bad's going to happen to this guy. Like, you already knew, and you just didn't know when. And I think the pacing for that was a little weird for me. And then a couple things to do with the brothers. Like, it just seemed like shit happened a little too fast and random there at the end with, we know where he's at.
Yeah, so
all of a sudden the Sixers
let them
and
be
shit.
a little more like diabolical.
Yes,
too
a little
quick,
bit, yeah.
like milk that a little more.
But yes, and then the ending, as negatives go, the ending with, like you said, the whole, James Bond-esque Kevin Hart deal, like 2 shots, 2 headshots, like that's.
And even played the James Bond theme. I don't understand.
And then the interview, how chill he was and cool he was being during the interview. But other than that, this show was intriguing. The acting was great. Wesley Snipes, holy shit. Gene, what's his name?
Theo Rossi.
Yeah, Theo Rossi.
Oh my
killed
God.
it, absolutely
Murdered
killed it.
I was
Kevin
shocked.
Hart, like I said before, which I had a problem at first. I thought Kevin Hart would be Kevin Hart through the whole thing, but like I said, into about episode 3 or 4, you forget Kevin Hart the comedian and you're watching Kevin Hart the actor, dramatic actor. This sits steady at 8.6, 8.7 for me.
Beautiful.
I really, really enjoyed it. I would watch it again for sure.
Yeah. Even with my problems, I'm ready to boot it up. Like if I'm gonna watch it with somebody else, I'm like, let's do this. You wanna try and watch this shit?
Oh, another pacing issue was the Daphne character, the one that was supposed to be dead. It's like they brought her back just to hurry up and kill her real quick. I feel like she could have had a little bit bigger role, more important role than that.
Because that goes back to the, you got to do it. Yeah, I guess.
But you got to think.
If you add in more middle episodes, I guess.
She's the one that started it all.
Yeah.
It started with her, so I feel like they should have given her more screen time at the end.
I just don't know how you would do that, though, necessarily, either.
Give Carlton a fucking, not an ultimatum so much, but give him a...
How'd I give him an old tomato?
Give him like a... steaks. Give Carlton, because Carlton never really had any steaks in this. He did, but it was like...
Few chickens.
It was low, but... I don't know. It's just, but yeah, 8. I still think it's great. I think this show is amazing. So, yeah, 8. I'll say 8.7 for me for sure. I definitely recommend y'all watching it.
Yeah, me too, for sure. So, if you like spoilers, if we're recommending to people, we did talk all spoilers.
I'll
here.
put spoiler warning at the beginning of the video.
Oh yeah, for sure. We got to. I mean, I'll post it, so I'll do that. But legit, yeah, man, this was solid. But do you agree with me at all on the whole? As you're far away from your mic, like if they would have played Kevin Hart more closely to the guy that had to do what he had to do, and Carlton just kind of plays the role of the guy that's like, I'm gonna go above and beyond. Carlton plays the role of I'm gonna go above and beyond, and then Hart just plays the role of like, I do what I gotta do, but I'm not gonna be this fucking badass that's gonna go above and beyond and not care that like, oh, you killed Gene. Oh man, you had to do what you had to do. Like no emotion. Like that's what fucked it for me, dude. This could have been a 9.
I think it held it back though too much.
It held it back for me because that's all I could think about the last 2 episodes. Because I'm like, this is not the same character. I couldn't. He didn't give a fuck, dude. By the end of it, it was like he didn't give a shit.
Well, no, he was James Bond.
Then he like the fake crying, like it was like that led me. I'm like, this motherfucker's been fake. Yeah, like he's been faking shit from the beginning, dude.
Oh, if they'd have done that, I'd have been. It'd have dropped it way down.
That's what I feel like he did. Like everything where you thought he was this emotional, I feel like that's what they were doing. The end of it, they were like, oh, actually, this guy is reckless and don't care. Oh, he just shot him point blank in the head. Perfect. He's actually more of a problem than we thought. That was supposed to be, I feel like they purposely did that to make you think that he was this badass that you didn't realize. He wasn't the guy you thought he was, when they should have stayed the course and made him that guy. They didn't need to do that. I feel like they did that on purpose to elevate the show, but it actually ended up biting him in the ass and hurt the show to me. I don't know. Watch True Story, people. It's really good. Really good. Even if you're not a Kevin Hart fan, trust me. Watch it. Trust us. Peace.